Mod metal has absolutely exploded in the past decade. Bands gain enormous impact and popularity, which allows them to tour the world, sell merch, and ultimately achieve the main dream of any musician: get your music heard. It's no surprise that many of you as musicians want to tap into the modern niche now. However, it is much harder than it seems, and without in-depth understanding of the principles of the modern metal, you're likely to fail. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the principles of how modern metal is constructed, and hopefully you can gain some insights on how to adapt your music from now on. Hey, I'm Dr. Mark Trubetskov, the mad scientist of metal, and I'm here to bring valuable information on metal production and mixing. Having worked with both modern and classical metal bands, I'm learning the modern side of heavy music. And I share what I learned with you as I go. Like and subscribe to never miss it out, man. Let's do it. If you want to achieve the modern sound but don't quite know how to, or if you simply want your band to start sounding a bit more modern and push the boundaries of the genre, you have to understand the key principle of modern metal, and that is, modern sound starts in the music. It's not production gimmicks, it's not just your low guitar tunings, it's the music itself that dictates the sound. We have different tuning and key, different groove, different tempo, different sound, which ultimately gives us a different feel of the music. Modern metal is very different from traditional heavy metal genre. You no longer feel like you are smashed with a sledgehammer of heaviness. See the pressure here? I love old school metal a lot, but sometimes if you listen to it too much, it just brings you down with that constant wave of heaviness. It doesn't allow you to bounce, and it almost makes you a little bit depressed. A lot of weight crushes onto you after listening to such music. Instead, modern grooves uplift and move you. They bounce you and they leave you energized. In order to tap into the modern metal niche, you have to understand what actually makes the modern sound. And here are some key points. Neat and clean tone gives us the possibility to apply more compression and more refinery to the tones. Low guitar tuning changes a lot in the riff writing game and guitar tone too. Rhythmics and Groove. Different song tempos and different grooves create a different rhythmic feel. Notice how the drums at the start are almost like a thrash metal groove, fast-paced kick snare, and then it comes into the halftime territory and it just smacks so hard. Melodics and Atmosphere. Well-developed, catchy melodies evolve through the track, and the atmosphere gives a unique taste too. Important consideration here. This current song sounds very melodic, however the vocal lines are mostly screams. What carries through the melodies? Actually the atmosphere and the keys in the back and sometimes the guitar leads. And they create so much in the song, and sometimes your ordinary listener would not even be able to pick up on it. But it serves as the most important vehicle for the atmosphere in such music and the melodics as well. Starting off with a neat tone. Neat, pure sound is actually very, very difficult to achieve in the production process. Starting off with drums. Typically, in drum recording, there's a lot of bleed coming from different elements of the drum kit into different microphones. You hear kick and cymbal bleed in your snare, and that prevents from heavy processing that is required within the genre. Okay, in this example here, I switched drum gates off, as well as muted samples first. How about that bleed on snare microphone here? And now, if we refine this production by actually using the gates and the samples, here's how it sounds. Notice how the character is more or less maintained. Obviously samples add a lot, but the original sound wasn't bad at all. It wasn't just refined enough. The bleed was making it old school, and this sounds more modern, more focused, more in your face, and allows, and this is important, and allows the musicianship to come forward, because you can hear all the intricate details better in such a dense music as mod metal. And frankly, this bleed may add a lot of mud to the mix if unattended. With the guitars, guitar recordings have to be of a very hard standard in order to meet the boundaries of the genre. This calls for tighter and very refined recording. More time spent cleaning this up. This just pushes towards learning better muting and performing guitar techniques overall. For vocals, it is common to record much more than just your single vocal track through the song and call it a day, as old school recordings were constructed. Usually, you may go for vocal main track, as well as vocal double, vocal low, and vocal high throughout the whole track. And having these four consistently tied with each other is a task on its own, that's for sure. Moreover, you may add extra accents and emphasis for parts, which allows you to connect your listener with the message of the song as much as possible.
They want you dead. They want you banished. They want you slain. So let down your head. Slip through the grave of flaming secrets.
Notice the extreme attention to the details on this vocal performance. The main line has been recorded in a layered way, but then there are significant accents jumping at you at certain lyrical lines, and that's what helps to push the message forward by emphasizing lyrical lines that deserve to be bolded out. Altogether, this creates a lot of pressure, both during the recording and during the mixing stage for your song. In my humble experience, it is ultimately up to you as a musician to match this high standard, and that's why it is hard to tap into the modern metal niche altogether. Let's talk about the low guitar tunings that are so common in modern metal. If you play a 6-string, as I used to, or a 7-string in standard tuning, maybe B or drop A, mate, you will need to adjust your technique a lot to properly match and perform the modern riffs. If we're talking about the common tuning these days, which is drop E, sometimes maybe drop F, maybe drop G, but drop E is the core tuning for modern these days. It's significantly harder to keep it up. You have to watch for extra noise when picking those low strings. You have to adjust your instrument, and not every guitar would actually allow you to tune that low. You will have to adjust the intonation of the instrument and string gauges. And not only the modern tunings would require a neat performance and great string muting techniques to get rid of those noises, as mentioned before. These expand into the pinnacle of guitar performance. Modern guitarists do not just use your down picking and call it a day. They sophisticate into legato, tapping, string skipping, economy picking, and even chicken picking sometimes. I studied such techniques back in the day when I was attending some private guitar tutoring, and I can tell you, man, these require a massive mind shift in order to successfully apply this in your riff writing strategies. This is just stunning. I'm not sure that many of you can recreate this by grabbing a 7 or 8 string and just practicing it for a bit. It is much more technique heavy in volume than that, mate. It amazes me how much of a progress guitar music have made based on the modern genre, because these parts will challenge the hell out of you, mate. Speaking about Rhythmics and Groove, you may have always been a big fan of groove metal or grooves in metal in general. Looking at you, Pantera fans, and I'm very much the same. Groove has always been the catchiest element for me, and modern metal, mate, has it all. We are talking about rhythmical diversity, polyrhythms, triplets, tempo and time signature changes, blast beats going into slow, half-time paced grooves. I honestly think that this is just freaking insane. That blast beat, the refined blast beat, which only occurs in the track once, maybe for 10 seconds. Enormous tension, and enormous resolution of that tension in the next beat. Just pure insanity. Modern metal has pushed heavy into the new level of groove. Finally, let's discuss melodics and atmosphere. As modern metal is getting more and more commercialized, this puts a heavy staple on melodic writing. That's a beautiful thing. Modern metal melodies live and breathe within the song and evolve with each section. The competition pushes you as a musician to work harder on your melodies and excel at catchiness, pushing through the competition and making your listener never forget your song. The electronic element and the fierce, ethereal reverbs of modern metal create an enormous atmosphere which allows to connect your listen to melodical message even more on a different level. That ethereal reverb creates a melancholic undertone which works as a layered atmosphere for the heavy breakdown sort of feel. And that two-tiered atmosphere, it's hard to find it elsewhere, and that requires a very special skill to put it together compositionally. And so this is a brief overview of why it is so hard to achieve the modern sound. Because frankly, it starts with the music, with guitar tuning, with neat recording, with grooves, with approach to melodies and atmosphere, and with approach to recording layers. And altogether, modern metal pushes the boundary of the modern music and becomes the genre right on the edge of musical progress, which to me is just amazing. And it's a great challenge to have and a great challenge to participate in. I'm Dr. Mark Trubetskov. I'm here to help. Leave comments if you wish. Hit me up if you need any specific advice. And until next time, take care.